set? All right. The time is now 10:15 on the 19th of December. Interview of Eugene Jaszczurski by Lieutenant Colonel Robert von Hassel. Location is Latham, New York. Before we talk about your experiences in World War II, tell me a little bit about where you were born and where you grew up.
I was born in Amsterdam, New York, and up until the time I got out of high school, that was my home. Went from there to Syracuse to the Apprentice training course, and left for service from there, and returned after my service time.
Where was the first place you went in the service?
Where I went for boot camp?
Yep.
Yeah, Samson.
Tell me about it. What was it like?
Well, it was quite a place. After all, not being used to something like that, but it was the middle of winter, so that made it interesting. But all in all, I went through boot camp pretty well. Got our training, and some made it, some didn't. But from there, then we moved on. But probably, yes.
Must have been quite an experience, you know, coming from a small town upstate New York and now being in a large training camp.
Well, true. Like I say, it was a totally different experience, probably not only for me, but everybody else. And you found out that you towed the mark or else you paid.
What was your typical day like at Samson?
Well, all I can recall is, the weather wasn't that great, and it kept you moving. But of course, at that time, when you went in, you actually had to go into for physicals and whatnot. One thing I recall is their big swimming pool, which you had to pass the test. And if you stood on the edge too long, you got yourself tossed in and sink or swim. So, but some did, some didn't. Again, it was different. Time went by. I don't think I liked it.
Why not?
Well, nobody really goes for the discipline in that. But you learn you didn't get in trouble more than once.
Where did you go after Samson?
Well, after Samson, then we had to leave and went to Boston. This was a Summer Street Station, I think it was, for assignment to whatever units. And of course, one of the interesting things was when I went in, because I was an apprentice trainee for tool making, so I did have deferments. But my guys, all the friends were going, so I said, to hell with that. I, forgot about deferment and volunteered for the Navy. Of course, when I got up to had one line for Army and one line for Navy, and Army was stamping as fast as they could. And I said, "Oh, buddy," I said, "my name is down for the Navy. That's where I want to go." So I didn't, but just by the seat of my pants, I did get in the Navy.
Why did you choose the Navy?
Really, probably didn't like digging ditches or whatever. But for the Navy was a cleaner life, I think.
So when you got to Boston, is that where you found out you want to be assigned to PT boats?
Well, PT is a volunteer outfit. At that time, wasn't. You had a volunteer. And of course, they gave us quite a choice. Armed guard on the cargo ships going to Murmansk, Russia, or the PTs. Give me the PTs. And I never regretted it.
So from Boston, then where did you go?
Well, the training base, the only training base was in Melville, Rhode Island. So, just outside of Fall River. And went there, went through the basic training for that, and got assigned not to the squadron, but to a unit. And then from there we cross country. I trained to Frisco, and waited there a while until we got on the transport and got into New Guinea. And then from there, why, as a casual, you know, they were doing anything until they got assigned to, you know, to the squadron. But once that happened.
So did you go over as a whole crew, or were you a...
Oh, no, we were going in to replace the older crews. So, you know, as the men either went on R&R because at that time you served 6 months and got a 30-day leave stateside or in Australia. And you served another 6 months and you'd get shipped stateside. So, you know, we would take over for the guys that were moving on.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, you know, of course, PTs was like the lost part of the Navy.
How so?
Well, we were independent, and well, let's put it this way: when I left Frisco, all my dress clothing was ordered to be shipped back home. So all we had was our dungarees, you know, and just our work outfit, and that was it. I never seen a uniform until I come back to the States.
Hmm.
You know, and so, you know, it was just altogether different. We were never allowed on a capital ship, let's say a carrier or that, because we didn't have the uniform of the day. So forget it. But they loved, the officers and that just loved to take a ride on our boats. So we take them for a ride, naturally for a price.
And what was the price?
Ooh, some steaks, ice cream, food mostly. We didn't care about anything else. Because again, we were on the end of the totem pole. And we could scrounge up most anything we could find. And we lived well.
So tell me about when you were first assigned to your squadron.
Well, as a casual, of course I recall this because as soon as we landed in Milne Bay in New Guinea, and you're a casual, so once the ship unloads, why everybody is separated by rank, and the ones with the highest rank get the best jobs while you're waiting to be shipped. Well, naturally, I was just a fireman, you know, lowest, equal to a private in the service, and so my job ended up on a third shift in the bake shop, which ended up being the best deal ever anybody could have, because you went in, helped the baker with the, you know, load the breads and that, and end of your shift, why eat steaks because they take care of the cooks, and come back to the quarters at 8 in the morning and loaded down with pastries and you name it. The other guys, like, you know, the chiefs and whatnot, they'd have to go off to work, and we come in, spend the rest of the day, and wait till our shift come up again. So, but then we got moved up, and I got assigned, the boat I got assigned to was the 352, and that time it was the Fighting Irish. Everybody on there, well, they were Irish regardless, but the skipper was an Irishman from Massachusetts, and the exec was, and so I was Jaszczurski. As soon as I hit the deck, the skipper says, "What's your name?" Jaszczurski. Murphy. That's who I was. And to the time I got out of service, I didn't know, but if I ever got knocked off, they said, "Well, Murphy's gone." They never knew me by my regular name.
How was it, you know, on a small boat with a small number of men, 2 officers?
Well, I'll tell you, like I say, we were a different part of the Navy. We had 2 officers, crew of 12. That was maximum. Very seldom we had that, but we, as a crew, could vote you off if you were a skipper and it just didn't mesh. By the same token, I could get tossed out if I didn't get, it was it had to be a working crew because everybody had more than one job. I was a motor mech in the engine room, but my station during battle was on the twin 50s. And if the torpedo man got hurt, I'd be able to work with him, or the 40 millimeter crew, whatever. So you had to mesh it. If you didn't fit in, you'd ruin the whole thing.
Things a little more relaxed with the officers?
Oh yeah, you didn't even, like I say, you were all together. They were an officer because they ran the boat and that. But then, no, I never thought of them. There was no spit and polish. In fact, we'd have a inspection, like Navy or service, whatever. And one boat out of the squadron, there were 12 boats usually in a squadron, and one boat a week would be picked for inspection. Out of those 12 boats, we were lucky to scrounge up uniforms that were halfway decent, and that was only jeans and work shirts, cap. Lucky to find enough to set up 12 guys so they looked halfway decent. And so when I say it was interesting, good. I never regretted it.
So now, where was the squadron stationed?
Well, we moved as the islands were being occupied or taken. We moved right along with them, and our job, I don't know, people I think have a misconception of PT boats. You see them roaring by and 50 miles an hour and dropping torpedoes. Oh, if they did that, they'd hit the torpedo. But our main object was patrols, night patrols. We would head out of our base, and if it took 2 hours to get to our patrol area, we'd have to get there just as it was getting dark. By the same token, we had to get the hell out by the time the sun began to rise too. Because that sector was an enemy sector, and anybody caught in there after, a certain hour, no matter whether you flew the flag or not, you were gone. Because by that time, the Air Force would be in, anything that was floating, they'd knock off.
So your life was kind of backwards. You sleep by day and sail by
Well, I
night.
didn't sleep much. Young guys, we'd always have some activities like, volleyball mostly, or swimming, and taking care of the boats. 'Cause as soon as you got back, now you didn't patrol every day the same boat, but probably, depending on how many boats were in commission, maybe every third day, fourth day, sometimes every other day.
Was there a lot of maintenance on the boats?
Oh yeah. Well, yes, because they're a small boat, especially in the engine room. You got to maintain them, keep everything in shape. It was busy. Then the guns, you had to, keep them with your ammunition. Make sure, because every time you went out, you test fired. When you hit the area. And we found out later we probably killed more Japs, not knowing it, than we did in actual combat. We'd get to our area and test fire into the beaches because we wouldn't be far offshore. We rake the beach and that everything worked, so then we'd go on patrol.
So what was a typical patrol like?
Well, it was looking for barges, mostly any activities on the beaches. go into inlets and wait in case a barge comes by, which they would, you know, because they had to supply themselves. And then you'd, you know, attack if you had to. And once in a while, we'd knock off a bridge.
I'll go for bridge?
Bridge, yeah.
Tell me about
We'd
that.
get into the inlets and, you know, anything that was a target, you'd take. And even one patrol, we even torpedoed a lighthouse.
How did you, intentionally?
Oh, for real. Yeah, that was, we were out patrol, so the engines went into idle. And dark. We had the radar, you know, early radar, but anyway. So the radar man picks up a blip over there, and it's moving. You know, the skipper right away. You know, of course, the lighthouse was dead. I mean, they didn't have it lit because that was. But so he said, "Okay, it looks like a ship coming by or whatever." So we got ready, and we had two torpedoes. We used to carry 4, but they done away with that. So he did. We fired him. Well, fire him. You drop him over the side and take off, make direct hits. And we found out in the morning as we were leaving the area that what we seen was a damn lighthouse, but we were in a current drifting, so we were the ones moving, not the lighthouse. But it's still steep. But that was funny.
Did you paint a little lighthouse symbol on the
Yeah,
conning tower?
You know, I had the scoreboard, because I was one of the last when we destroyed the boats.
Mm-hmm.
And I did take the scoreboard off, but somehow I lost it. I don't know where it went.
What did the scoreboard look like?
Well, it was on the side of the,
Mm-hmm.
where the officers stay with the conning tower, or whatever you want to call it. And there was, you know, just painted on there like you see it on the ships and whatnot. I mean, we had a plane and a half on there, a couple of bridges, I don't know, 2, 3 barges. And that, so.
So now you, as the campaigns continued, you moved up into the Philippines.
Right.
Were you actually stationed in the Philippines?
Well, we were so mobile. We'd have a base, either a base on land, or we had our motherships with us, assigned to take care of, say, 3 squadrons or whatever that moved along. So, you know, we were never in one spot too long.
Were operations in the Philippines pretty much the same way they had been in New Guinea?
So all looked the same to me.
Were you involved in the large fleet action off of Latham when the PT boats were sent in?
Well, there was most action we had was during a convoy that was going through the Surigao Straits to Mindoro, and we were the second convoy through, and that's where we, you know, ran into all kind of problems because it was well, let's put it this way: we were first attack come was at kamikazes, and naturally we were all, you know, planes coming in, you know, they give us the horns that, you know, as a general quarters. Didn't pay much attention to them really, you know. Of course, the convoy is a big thing, you know, maybe a mile, 2 miles across. I don't know how many ships and whatnot. This one guy come and he took out one of the, well, it was not a Liberty, it was the next bigger ship, ammunition ship. Just like an atomic bomb. Boy, that shook up everything. After that, next wave that come in, you could have walked on the aircraft, you know, the anti-aircraft fire that was going up. So it was. That's the time that I've got paper clippings here in the interview that the Navy made. Because at that time, we didn't have no air cover. I don't know where it was. Whether they just couldn't do it or what. We did have destroyers on either flank. that were radar-controlled guns. So without them, I think we'd have lost a lot more. But at any rate, one of the kamikazes got hit and landed, just crashed right in front of us. About simultaneously, we went through all the flame and smoke, so that it really looked like, we were gone.
Mm.
The report coming from Tokyo Rose, told about the convoy, sunk this ship, sunk that ship, sunk a PT boat, and we were the guys, but really it looked like we were gone.
So you were listening to Tokyo Rose talk about how your PT boat had been sunk?
I don't know whether we, I think we must have gotten it, because we would listen to that. But it was in the paper reported in with a recorder. And I would say it was our boat, because that's the only one they, Tokyo Rose, I don't know how they knew. I'll tell you, it was amazing. Tokyo Rose knew practically everything going on. Of course, they had a plane, they used to send planes over. One, we always call it Washing Machine Charlie, because you could tell. Nobody bothered him, they let him go, what the hell he did. And all he was doing was reconnaissance. But it got to be a habit. Every morning, at a certain time, here comes Washing Machine Charlie. So he might have been their contact. It was interesting.
What else do you remember about your time on the PT boats? You must have, as you said, you were sort of a lost part of the Navy. There must have been quite a sense of camaraderie.
Like I say, we were a tight-knit bunch. Excuse me, I'll take them. And we had, like one fellow was didn't fit in with the crew. We voted him off. He was obnoxious, let's put it that way, but he didn't last. Took him off. And I don't, I think we might, in the Navy, colored people never served anything but as a ward in the kitchens or whatever, or waiters. But we did have a young man, nice guy, that served with us, as a regular crew member, which is unusual. And we had a few rebels on and whatnot, so you figure that wouldn't get along, but we did.
You still keep up with any of your former shipmates?
Yeah, I still keep contact with my skipper, my last skipper, and a few of the guys that were on the crew. Of course, a lot of us are gone by, by the wayside, but in fact, one of the fellows that took most of the pictures just passed away not too long ago.
Now, you said that you saved the scoreboard off the boat before it was destroyed. The boats were destroyed?
Every boat. At Samar, that's where we come back to, and we stripped them of whatever had to be taken off, and then burned them up.
Rather than taking them back to the United States?
Well, I think they give some to Russia or whatever, but it was sad because that was our home. In fact, how much of a home it was had a typhoon coming up. We happened to be in a bay area, so they told us to get off the boats, ordered us get on shore. We stay there till it's over. So we tied the boats down, anchored them out. Got in on shore, and cripe, as far as we were concerned, in the tents and mud, you name it, no way. So we went to one of the natives there. He had dugouts, and we, I don't know, bought it from them or what the hell ever. Paddled our way out to the boat and rode out the storm. Caught hell for it. We felt safer there than we did anywhere else.
Must have been hard, though, with 12 guys on a small boat like that, living quarters very tight.
No, well, I think we had more, yeah, we did have more room than a destroyer or any of those, because they stacked them up. You didn't have much of a bunk. No, we really had, for the size of, we were 80 foot long, a good sized boat. We had good living quarters. Now we had, let's see, I think 8 in the forward section. Then the day room had room for 4. The skipper and the exec had their own. You didn't get into the day room until you had the seniority. So towards the end, I had the best spot. Now,
Yeah.
I was going to say, boats. Now, when I originally got on, it was a Fighting Irish. Every skipper would, because you change, they would name it on his own, whatever. One of the last names we had was our little, and an asterisk. At the, everybody come on, what the hell is this? Our little flower, our little daisy, our little asterisk. Did I say it was just a family, let's put it that way.
I see that you caught malaria?
Well, got a touch of it, I think. I did have to go into the sick bay. And that's another interesting thing. Had all Quonset huts, I don't know, maybe 20 guys in each one. And so they put me in there, and the next guy next to me in the next bunk says, what are you here for? I think I got malaria. So I got the shakes and colds and hot. He said, well, one thing, he says, when the doctor comes in to check, he says, poke your stomach. He said, if it hurts, even if it hurts like hell, don't tell him it hurts. I said, why? Every damn guy in here has had their appendix taken out. You're just practicing, I guess. But after a couple of days, I was out. Never had any occurrence that I know of. Might have been a party and we did it a few days before that too. Cherry wine. Philippines, there's no cherries in the Philippines as far as I know.
So now, you said there were 2 planes on the scoreboard?
1.5.
1.5.
Yeah.
Tell me about the 1.5.
Well, because, we'd go out and patrol with 3 boats. So, it would happen to both be firing at the same time. You get 2 of them firing, or 3 of them, you get credit for it. Usually, of course, we didn't count the one that we shot the tail off one of our target planes.
Why did that happen?
Well, he was towing a target for us to practice, firing at it. I guess the line wasn't long enough between the target and his tail. So we were leading the target a little too.
You ever meet the guy you shot down?
No, but we met one guy, though, that we invited for breakfast. In fact, 2 guys, because it was a 2-man crew. We patrolled with the Air Force, and mostly in night fires. It was the P-38, and then there was the Black Widow, they called it, similar to it, but a bigger plane. and that was a night fighter. So one morning, we were finishing up patrol, and the skipper talked to him on the radio, said, "Hey, buzz these guys, wake them up." He said, "Give them a little thrill." So here they come, two of them. And they come down low. One guy come by, I guess he either lost an engine or shut it off purposely. As he was pulling away, he tried to start the engine and he lost the other one, both engines. He crash landed. Of course, the meat I say the skipper invited him for breakfast because we had picked up some eggs and that from some natives. So they joined us. We had to try to blow the boat out. We couldn't do it. We fired everything at that plane. But it had self-sealing tanks and a flat trajectory. You know, everything bounced off. So his buddy says, "Hey, you just stand away. I'll take care of him." He did. Never see such firepower out of a plane in my life. Blew that thing right out. But he had to destroy it because it was in the enemy territory, and that was one of the newest, radar night fighter that we had. Must have caught hell for it, I'm sure.
You can imagine. Any other particular missions or patrols that you recall? Unusual or outstanding?
Well, I say after a while, you got out there, and one thing, we always had a lead officer that was head of the patrol. He'd come along. Some you could trust, and you never worried. He knew he wasn't going to take you in where you couldn't get out. Others were gung-ho, and they made you, scared. You didn't know whether you were going to make it or not. The best one we had was Joe Burke, out of Texas. I think he was a Skulls champion or something. These are all college guys. So him you could trust. Cool, calm, calculating, very good man. Never worried. I don't care where the hell he took me.
So where were you when the war ended?
Well, we were on patrol. When I say our patrol was only a few hundred yards off the beach, it was that much. In Halmahera, that's island of Halmahera, and the KOE Bay is, I think, where we were when it ended. Well, when we heard that the war was over, I say we were maybe 100 yards off beach, and that was our, the closer we could get, the better off we were. And we moved out a mile or two, continued our control. And we patrolled for probably a month after the war, because there were, the Japs didn't know. They only had, what communication they had, and half of them didn't believe it anyway. But I remember a surrender ceremony where they brought in the officers from this, wherever, I think it was Helmer, I'm pretty sure, all in their spit and polish. Here I am. I'm on night duty or on deck. We were all tied up. Submachine gun in my lap. I hear noise on the deck. I peek up, and holy crap, there's the whole crew. Japanese, full uniform, sword, you name it. Good thing I see some, Americans with them, because I didn't know what the hell was going on. But they were coming in to surrender their outfit.
And from there, how much longer was it till you rotated back to the United States?
I think I must have come back in April. What, war was over in August or something or other?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what happened, what did you do after the war?
Well, come back here to Amsterdam. Never went back to Syracuse to my job and that, which you do things, and all I want to do is get the hell out. That time, well, I got discharged out of Lido Beach. And they give you all kind of offers to stay in. Well, in retrospect, yeah, I should have, but I didn't. All you want to do is get the hell out, get into, your regular swing of things. Yeah, we had quite a time.
Looking back on it now, how did it change your life?
I don't know. You hear, you still think of the things that happened, the good things, and you remember well, the bad things you try to forget. So I don't know. I followed up on my tool making and that, so I've still done that type of work. No, I say I just probably like everybody else, come back at it all the time and settle down. Of course, it took me a little longer to settle down than a lot of them.
How so?
Well, I didn't get married till 30-some years old. Of course, my wife, Shirley over this, my second wife. I lost my first one. So she gives me hell anyway. Told me I never grew up anyway.
Kind of reminds you of your days in the Navy?
Well, didn't have much time to fool around there. Didn't see much. Once you went overseas, that's it. You still get kidded. My wife used to kid my mother and say, well, one of these days when them nice little Oriental or Filipino girls is going to come over and say, hey, Daddy, or something like that.
Are you proud of what you did?
Oh, yes. Yeah, very much so. Glad, nice people and all.
Is there anything that you learned while you were in the service that you'd like to pass on? A lesson, a thought?
Well, don't hold a grudge. I could have, a lot of us could have, but you gotta go on. The ones that were on the other side, I'm sure, they were out to get me, I was out to get them, but that was our job. And, no, I don't hold any grudges, and I hope everybody else is the same. No regrets.
Anything else you'd like to add?
That's about it. Just glad I was able to talk to you fellas and give you a little story and that.
So are we.
But I have some things here too.
Well, yeah, let's take a look.
Don't get the metal detector out. This is something I made up.
Look at that.
That's what I say, don't get the metal.
Oh my gosh. You got mine? Yeah, these are all the places you've been.
Yeah, I just kept the log.
Your service ribbons, battle stars.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Philippine Liberation ribbon on one side.
That one, I can't get a hold of. Yes, I've got it, but I can't get the medal because the Philippines, for some reason or other, stopped issuing it years ago.
These are 50 cal and 30 cal.
30, that's 30 caliber. That's 50s from my gun type.
And leather?
This is made from chamois.
Ah,
The chamois we had to use to filter our fuel, because we use 100-octane aviation fuel in our engines. And of course, we always got the bottom of the barrel. So we had to use this to filter out the water, and without that, we wouldn't be able to operate. So I made it out of that.
that's quite nice.
This, we were authorized to wear the pin, like the sub people and that. That we could wear on our uniform.
I noticed in the pictures, you're wearing something on a little round patch on you.
Yeah, a PT patch.
PT patch?
And then we also had the, another patch. Might be able to show it. Well, that's these are just some of the shots. That's the boat there.
Your boat was radar equipped.
Yeah, we had radar.
This is your crew.
Yeah. Yeah, that's our crew.
I gotta ask you something. I didn't put it on the tape because it's kind of a personal, huh? We're on taping it? What color was the boat painted?
Well, what you see there was like a dark green.
Dark green?
Yeah, but they make sometimes camouflage colors. They tried zebra colors. Now, if you see, let's see, this one here, that's the camouflage color on the boats there. So they tried everything.
So yours was dark green?
Yeah, it'd probably be, say similar to your.
And what about the bottoms? Were they painted red, blue?
Well, it was a dark red, which was the, what do you call it?
Anti-fouling?
Yeah.
Because I've seen some that were painted with a sort of blue anti-fouling, lead paint, and some that were painted with red.
Reddish, yeah.
And then some I've seen were gray on top, and then others were apparently green on
Yeah,
top.
that really, they try different colors. This is a record, and that's the official, I'm pretty sure that's the official Navy photo. Yeah,
That's you at your,
yeah, that's me at the battle station. I got thinking about it the other day, last night. That looks like a flak jacket. We didn't have no flak jacket. That was our life jacket. So you got this is actually a picture of our boat here. Well, that was my station there on the port side.
and tell me about this record.
Well, that's the, I don't know, the Navy come along, and was taking interviews from any of us. So this record was made and then sent back. The photo was sent to the Amsterdam recorder. This went, I think, to WGY. Might still be in the archive somewhere, I don't know. That's the one I was going to say. This record that was made, that was Yeah, in 45.
Mm-hmm.
So that ties in with the story I was telling you about the ship. Because here, along here, well, right shortly after that, once our convoy got to Mindoro, that's when we were fueling up at our mothership, and she got hit by a kamikaze while we were fueling. There was smoke in there. They did beach her. Well, we lost, I don't know how many officers, because they were in the mess hall at the time.
You said you had one black crewman?
Yeah,
Do you know of any other instances?
that's what I say, you know, in those years, you know, never had, the only job they ever had was being in a wardroom.
Or the Seabees? The Seabees had.
Well, they might have.
How long was he in the crew?
He wasn't there too long, but he was, you know, a very sharp guy, and in fact, I'm pretty sure he was college educated. And but like I say, to me, serving on a combat vessel, you don't hear that. Now, Seabees was naturally a construction battalion.
What was his job?
I'm trying to think. I think he was one of the gun crew. Well,